young and you're a kid, you have so many, I grew up in the hood, man. I mean, I'm Flint, Michigan, where I'm from. And they say, Terry Crews, you can do anything you want to do. You can do anything you want to do. And then as soon as you go to class, you tell them what you want to do, and they're like, man, what make you think you're going to do something like that, man? You crazy?
Yeah.
And I say, okay, wait, which one is it? Now, can I do it or can I do it? What?
Right.
And so I started to call people on that. I said, you know what? I'm going to go for it. I'm going to just try something that I've never done before. I want to design furniture. I want to be a part of this thing. So I'm going. And you know what happened? The stuff worked. People started doing it. It started happening. We took this furniture to Milan. We went in front of all the best people in the whole world, and it got accepted. And people were saying how great it was and how beautiful it was. And I said, man, don't never let anybody talk you out of something like that again.
Never, man.
Never. I'm a dreamer. You talked to me, and I was into football, and I was a football player, and you would have told me I'd be doing what I'm doing. I would have said, no, you're crazy, leave me alone, get out of here. This is why life is, you can't predict what you're supposed to do. And I tell people, never kill yourself, never. Because you don't know what your future is. You just don't. And that's the thing, it's like, for me, I never would have thought I would be doing this, but I decided to try things. I just decided that I didn't have to do what everyone else said I needed to do. It's like, you know, when you're a football player, everyone tells you this would be the best route to do after you're done. Well, I decided to go another way. And people thought I would fail. I remember when I moved to LA and everyone said, what are you doing? You know, you're an old football player. That's not, no, they don't care. And I was hard. I was actually doing security for a little while, and you know, we went broke for a little while. But the amazing thing though is that as I kept trying new things, new doors kept opening. And I never thought I would be an actor, but here I am. I'm acting. I've been acting for 15 years. You never know what's going to happen. You never know what your future holds for you. And it may be acting, it may be business, it may be performing, it may be homemaking. But whatever it is, you have to explore it. You have to go for it.
On my biography on the back of the book, it says like Ryan Apprentice under Robert Greene. That's a word that you make up for what happened after it happened. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like I met him at this lunch and he said like, and then he in some ceremony like inducted me into being his apprenticeship, like his apprentice, like we're like Masons or something, you know? It was, hey, I'm gonna give you a shot on this thing because I need some help with something because I don't want to transcribe all these really long interviews. Fine, whatever you're willing to pay me to do it, I will do it, and I'm going to deliver something that you're going to be happy with. And then then I'm going to ask you for feedback. I'm going to ask how I can improve, and then I'm going to ask for another shot, and I'm going to get better that time. And I'm just going to slowly build momentum and trust with you. And that's what I did. You know, there was no informal arrangement, or there's no formal arrangement. Sometimes we would go weeks or months without talking because he was busy, and I understood that my job was to contribute and not be a burden or a thing that he would have to feel obligated to, you know, monitor or whatever. And when he didn't give me something to do, I would try to think like, is there something that I can do that he hasn't asked me to do, and how can I make that contribution? And how can I have me working for him be as painless for him as possible? And the second thing that I find when I hire a lot of young people that I think I was able to differentiate myself with is I wanted it really bad. And he knew that like I always wanted more. And he never had to chase me. Like he never had to call me twice or email me and say like, Ryan, I emailed you 3 days ago. Why haven't you gotten back to me? Because like, if he gave me a week deadline, it was done in 3 days, Or if he called me, I called him right back. If he asked me to read a book, I read it, and I didn't give him excuses for why I read. I find with so many young people, it's like, I want them to be successful, or I want them to work well for me, like more than they want it for themselves.
We become our standards in many ways. If you are surrounded by B players or average performers, and that is your standard, then your mindset will operate at the standard that is offered to you by the people around you. I mean, we do become our social orbit. And if you are at a standard internally that I want to be a game changer in my field, I want to be BIW, the best there ever was, I want to be the Van Gogh and the Rembrandt of technology or whatever field you play in, then your behavior always matches your internal identity and your inner standards. So your standards are important, your standards for your friendships, your standards for the quality of the work you do, the standards of your languaging, the standards of the nutrition you put into your body, the standards of your love life, the standards of your mindset, the standards of the way you occur in the world. And so my invitation for you, regardless of what you do, is that you raise your game to a place called world class. And that is all about being a game changer. Now, I should caution you, and I don't like that word because language is so powerful, and caution is a word that really is a little dramatic. But I want to caution you, which is as you leave the herd and the crowd and perhaps the cult of mediocrity and rise to being a game changer, it's a very disruptive act. And you actually threaten the masses of people around you. And that's why every visionary was first ridiculed before they were revered. And I'm sure you've experienced it. You say, I want to take my fitness to a whole new level of world class, or I want to take my craft to a whole new level of world class, or maybe you're raising your game financially and then you share it with those you love or your friends, and maybe your friends are those you love and they laugh at you. And how many times have we given up on a dream because we were mocked by the people around you? And all I'm suggesting to you is when you get laughed at and ridiculed, and when people don't understand your next level of world class, that just means you've got a great dream, and that just means you're on the path of growth. So be a game changer.
Times we replay that mantra of I'm not worthy of that job, I have nothing to offer, what makes me different, and we get stuck in that negative self-talk and we get stuck in that negative cycle. And a lot of us stay in that cycle because it's easier to stay there. So this was really interesting when I thought about when I got stuck in this negative cycle. It was easier for me to say negative things and keep myself safe so that I never had to go outside of my comfort zone and actually go for those opportunities that scared the living daylights out of me. So the mantra that I would say was, oh, it doesn't matter, I'm not gonna do that because I'm not gonna offer anything. I'm not gonna bring anything to the table. I would be a disappointment. I would never, no one would ever consider me anyway. So all in all, if you want to start feeling worthy, you have to start thinking thoughts that you're worthy and taking those risks. So you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. Love that quote because it is so true. We have to start taking those small risks. So my 2 top tips that I want you to grab hold of and use this week are to change your self-talk around worthiness and to start taking little risks. Now, I know this sounds great, but it is challenging to implement because It's something completely outside of what you're doing already. So we want to start small, and you must do this if you want to move forward. This is exactly the steps that I took. So mantras are a great way to start whenever that comes up, where you start feeling like an opportunity is coming, or maybe you are thinking that you want to take that step to get that different job, or you're thinking about going to the gym, but why go anyway? You need to have a mantra that you can grab onto. Otherwise, your brain is going to go to your self-defeating negative talk, because that's all that's in there. You didn't give yourself a new file to pull from. So a great mantra I like to use is, I am a perfect work in progress, and I am a magnet for all I desire. I am a perfect work in progress, and I am a magnet for all I desire. So when that negative thought comes up, you say, no, I'm choosing a new way, and then you insert your mantra, because that's the only way for your brain to start clinging onto your new mantra. And also ask yourself, if you felt worthy, what are some of the small things that you would do that day that would make you feel good about you? If I already felt worthy of X, Y, and Z, if I already felt worthy of that body that I desire, if I already felt worthy of that job that I desire, what is one thing that I would be doing or taking a risk on today? You need to start stepping outside of your comfort zone a little bit every day to make yourself proud. When you make yourself proud and when you make yourself accomplished by going outside of your comfort zone a little bit each day, that's how you start to build up that worthiness muscle and make yourself feel accomplished. So get rid of that self-talk by using that mantra and do something a little risky every day. Maybe just start by saying hello to a stranger and talking to them. Maybe start by just looking to see what opportunities are out there, because like I said, you miss every opportunity that you don't even try to take.
I've spent 21 years of my career chasing a better career, chasing somebody else's career, because that's all you have to go by, right? You look at those who've gone before you. So my whole career, I've always aimed for a mark and constantly missed it, like never hit it. So by my own standards, very unsuccessful. But in the process of doing that for 21 years, which I believe is 3 score, 4 more, one more score and I'm Gettysburg. If I believe the idea is, over that time, I established what it is that I do. In my quest to be somebody else like John Hughes, to have the career of a John Hughes, I wound up having the career of a Kevin Smith, which to me is like, whatever. But oddly enough, there are a bunch of people that are like, I'll kill to have your career. And that's really weird and wonderful. So every time you get a chance to sit down and talk to those cats, you just want to remind them, hey, you can have this career. And like, I backed into it and lucked into it in a lot of places, but most of it is just persistence and willingness to try stupid shit. A lot of people don't want to try things that might not work. You know what I'm saying? Everyone wants to try the sure thing. And there is no such thing as the sure thing. And if you're looking at somebody else's work to try to gauge your own, as I have for years, you will constantly feel like a failure. Instead, concentrate on telling your story. Like, this is the thing I'm real big on. Your voice is your only currency in this life. That's all you got. The things you see and perceive, the prism through which you process all the information that you take in, that's it. You're the most unique supercomputer on the planet, unique from everybody else. That perspective is valuable, insanely valuable, because nobody else can give it but you. And that's why it's always better to shoot weird, or shoot different, or shoot original, as opposed to shoot what works, like, or go for a successful model, or, as I've tried to do, try to be John Hughes or something like that. You'll never succeed that way. If you try using your own voice, you try expressing your own thoughts that nobody else can do, that's your best shot at success. Because that's the thing that you bring to the table that nobody else could bring. And if your timing is fantastic, you say the right thing at the right time, you could have a career. So when you get into this business, they tend to like tell you to shape it up and like take off the edges and make it look like this. Hey, that worked, do that. But always shoot for that thing that you want to do.
Person's strengths are often their biggest weaknesses. And so that also means that their weaknesses can be their strengths. me, I am weak. In all those ways that I listed, I am weak. But I don't accept that. I don't accept that I am what I am and that is what I'm doomed to be. No, I don't accept that. I'm fighting. I'm always fighting. I'm struggling and I'm scrapping and I'm kicking and clawing at those weaknesses to change them, to stop them. Some days I win. Some days I don't. But each and every day, I get back up and I move forward with my fists clenched toward the battle, toward the struggle. And I fight with everything I've got to overcome those weaknesses and those shortfalls and those flaws. As I strive to be just a little bit better today than I was yesterday.
Stoicism, I think, is one of the best operating systems for thriving in high-stress environments. In effect, the more you schedule and practice suffering, the less unplanned suffering will disrupt your life. And so Stoicism, if we go back to, say, Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, is really very similar to Zen in many, many ways, but it is a practical set of beliefs, frameworks, and exercises that allow you to inoculate yourself against fear of the unknown, fear of worst-case scenarios, to become less emotionally reactive, which is why Stoicism. I mean, certainly you can look at George Washington, Thomas Jefferson had Seneca on his bedside table. I think Bill Clinton reads Meditations by Marcus Aurelius every year. But if you want to look at some additional contemporary examples, it's become hugely popular in Silicon Valley. It's become hugely popular in the NFL, including the Super Bowl winners, past 2 Super Bowls, because it teaches you how to view obstacles as opportunities and how to become less emotionally reactive. So you're effectively putting the serenity prayer into practice, where you are learning to separate the things you can control from the things you cannot control, and to only focus on the former, and to develop the courage and the ability to act.
Other than hard work, what advice would you give to better yourself both in life and in your career field? Focus. Focus is super underrated. Like, if you commit all that you are and all of your energy to one thing, you'll... Okay, this diagram, I took this from a book called, I don't know what it's called, but it goes like this. All right, you can do 10 things to like the first degree, like this right here, and that's how well you'll do all 10 things. Or you can do one thing to the 10th degree right there, and look how much better you do that. So when it comes to focus, to put all of your energy into one thing is to do that one thing really well, to the best of your abilities, to take it all the way. And to scatter yourself means you're never actually accomplishing anything. You're just sort of chipping away at a bunch of nothingness. And this is true for work, this is true for like dating versus committing yourself to one person, friendship, everything. Like really focusing and investing yourself into something you're passionate about will always yield better results than scattering yourself around, than spreading yourself thin.
Being a first generational moneymaker in the household is a scary thing. And for an 18-year-old, I go from being sitting in the classrooms in May, graduating high school, to being a multi-millionaire a month later.
For me, it was like, holy shit, now we're in this room and this is real. It's not like I had that moment. We were sitting in that room at Reebok, and Paul Fireman was very smart. He said to you, I know you're gonna go see Nike and Adidas, but I'm gonna offer you $10 million today if you don't go see them and shake my hand.
Right.
He wrote you a $10 million check in that room, and you turned it down. I can't say I would have turned it down. I think in the room I said, yo, let's take this check and get the hell out of here. But you turned it down. What was that thinking? Do you remember what you were thinking and why you did it?
Right, I remember, first of all, it was one of the longest damn tables I ever seen in my life.
Longest boardroom table
Yeah, it was one
ever.
of the longest boardroom tables I ever seen in my life. And I had no idea what he was doing at the other end of the table. I just seen him writing.
Yeah.
And he was talking, had his head down, he was making sure he didn't get anything wrong on that on that check. And when he slid it down there and he said, listen, if you take this right now, you just promised me you won't go talk to Nike or Adidas, you can take this right now. And I was lost for words at the beginning. We flew in from Akron, Ohio, from Spring Hill, from the projects. Our rent is like $17 a month.
Exactly.
And now I'm looking at a $10 million check.
That you can leave with.
Yeah, and go to high school and go back to the classroom the next day.
I was typically that. You were going to homeroom the next morning.
I was going to homeroom the next morning. So I'm like, holy shit. That's my first initial thing. And then I for some odd reason, I started thinking, like, if this guy, which is he's a great guy too, I still love him to this day. He's an unbelievable guy. But if he's willing to give me a $10 million check right now, what is it to say that Nike or Adidas is not willing to give me 20, 30, up front? Or to say that maybe the upfront money is not even the biggest thing. Maybe let's start thinking about the back end, and I've always, and that comes from, my uncles as well, just never put all your eggs in one basket. Give it an opportunity, give people an opportunity to say what they got, to pitch themselves. And we always say, listen, we're gonna hear all three companies. We wanna hear all three companies, what they have to say, what's their plan, and I still can't believe I left that $10 million.
I can't believe it either.
So I got to a certain point in my career where I saw the glass ceiling. I was so close to it, I was going to hit my forehead on it. But I was busy. I got lots of work. I realized that I could only play so many best friends or gang leaders, right? I knew that I wasn't going to land a leading role. I knew there wasn't enough imagination, not yet, for the industry to be seeing me as a lead. In other words, if I wanted to star in a British drama like Luther, for example, then I'd have to go to a country like America, right? Now, some people might say back then, look, there was no black detectives, like how can you expect us to make a TV show about one? It's television, sorry. And the other thing is that I didn't see myself or my culture on TV, so I literally just stopped watching it. Instead, I decided to go and become TV. Now, if I aspired to be on the levels of Denzel Washington's and the Robert De Niro's in the world, I had to reinvent myself. I had to transform the way the industry saw me. I had to climb out of that box. In other words, I didn't go to America because I couldn't get parts. I went to America because I was running out of parts. All the parts were the same.
When I was 16, contemplating being an actor, I was in sound systems, DJing, you know what I mean? And, it was like that or this. So I always go back to DJing. I always have a studio, I always have turntables, always.
Your feet firmly planted on the ground?
Are they? I don't know.
I don't know. Actors, it's hard.
It is.
It's hard to get all this attention and stay sane.
Yeah. I think, like for me, listen, been doing it a long time, you know what I mean? And there was a drive to be famous, to be, you know, that pinnacle, to be that guy. And my ambition isn't that as much, you know what I mean? Good work, keep working. So it'd be hard for me to sort of like suddenly be like, you know, oh, I'm lifted up by this wonderful life that I have. I love it, but, you know, my feet are on the ground, you know, it's work, it's a job.
There's a paradox being a human being, unfortunately. At all times, every moment of every day, we are both individuals and members of groups, right? We are both responsible for ourselves and our own happiness and our own joy, but at the same time, we're members of families, we're members of churches, we're members of teams, we're members of companies. Like, we're members of multiple groups every single day at every moment. And this produces some complications. We have to make decisions. So do we put ourselves first, or do we put the group first? And there's a debate. Some people say, oh, you have to take care of yourself before you can take care of the group. And some say, no, you take care of the group and that's what helps, they will take care of you. And the answer is yes. It's not one or the other, it's actually both simultaneously. It is a challenge, but at the end of the day, there's no getting around it. As social animals, our success, our happiness, our joy, our ability to get anything done requires help. And those who embrace the fact that they cannot do everything alone, that they need the support and love, and it doesn't mean somebody who's physically helping you lift something. Sometimes it might be someone who just believes in you. These things are essential and there's just no getting around it.
Rarely are we instant experts. You may have a particular gift or affinity towards something, but you still get better. You know, people would pay me high compliments when I started speaking, and then people who've seen me a year or two later say that I'm even better, and I feel it.
Why is that?
Because you learn more, you know? I think that hubris is dangerous. I think to think that you're an expert in anything is a foolish pursuit. You're never as good as you could be. There's always room for improvement. There's always room to get better. That doesn't mean you have to listen to all the advice. Not necessarily does everybody know best, but to believe that you can be better, and to believe that you can offer more is a constant pursuit. I used to think being a public speaker meant being poised and presenting in a way that was compelling and speaking at the right pace, and that's a part of it. But I have been taking more risks lately, doing things that are very unstructured and very uncomfortable. And I will now do, like if I have an hour to speak, I'd rather speak for 20 minutes and do 40 minutes worth of questions. And who knows how that's gonna go. And that to me is the best. And so I'm a better speaker because now I'm way more open to the unknown, where a few years ago that would have scared me.